Welcome to the NZ Travel Show, an interactive show where you can ask your NZ travel questions to the experts behind NZPocketGuidecom, New Zealand's largest travel guide. The NZ Travel Show will start in exactly 2 minutes. Just the time for you to hit the like button, ring the notification bell, and subscribe if you have not done so yet. NZPocketGuidecom has over 3,000 articles covering all aspects of travelling in New Zealand, from a working holiday gap year to tips for a perfect family holiday. The site also features dozens of pre-made itineraries that you can use to plan your ideal trip in New Zealand. It's all available for free at NZPocketGuidecom, so check it out. The NZ Travel Show is hosted by Robin, the Operations Manager of South Pacific Pocket Guide, the company behind NZPocketGuidecom. The New Zealand Travel Show is also hosted by Laura, a journalist and editor-in-chief of South Pacific Pocket Guide and all its publications, including NZPocketGuidecom. We're exactly 1 minute away from the NZ Travel Show. Get yourself comfortable and start asking your NZ travel questions in the chat. Robin and Laura will go over them when the show starts. In 30 seconds, our experts will be live from New Zealand to give you all the practical New Zealand travel tips you need, from the best transport options to the best accommodations and activities to choose for the perfect New Zealand holiday. Live from New Zealand, this is the NZ Travel Show with your travel experts, Robin and Laura.
Hello!
Good morning, everybody. It is a Sunday, the 20th of August 2023, and we are live from New Zealand at 8 a.m. That is very, very early. And yeah, this is the NZ Travel Show. How is everybody doing today? Laura, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
A little cold, but you know, getting used to it.
It's chilly.
August is the last month of winter here in New Zealand, and you know,
And the coldest it feels like.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And so, fittingly enough, we are going to be talking about the weather today. It's always a very popular topic here. But we have Adil in the live chat. What is he saying?
Says Kia ora, Robin, Laura, and all the viewers. Kia ora, Adil.
Nice. And we also have Anthony Comstock saying Morena from Rodeo, California. Laura, what does Morena mean?
It means good morning in the indigenous language of New Zealand, which is Te Reo Maori.
Nice one. So, the way this NZ Travel Show works, a little bit of housekeeping right here. You guys can ask us all your questions about traveling in New Zealand, and us as the expert, the team behind New Zealand's largest travel guide called NZ Pocket Guide, we're going to answer those questions for you. However, you know, in between questions, while you guys kind of slowly waking up from your slumber like we are doing as well, you know, it is after all 8 a.m.
Slumber indeed.
It is you know, 8 a.m. On a Sunday right here. We will go over a bit of a theme of the week. So that's kind of how this works. So without further ado, what about we begin with our theme of the week? So we're recording this video in August, and August is the last month of winter in New Zealand. And fittingly enough, the theme of the week today is the weather in September, which is the first month of spring. September is a fantastic time to travel to New Zealand. It is the beginning of the tourist season, but New Zealand is not crowded just yet, so you can still have some moments of this feeling of getting the whole country to yourself. It is, though, because, you know, it's spring, the most perfect time of the year to experience this famous 4 seasons in one day, isn't it?
Yeah.
It definitely is going to be a time of the year when you are traveling to New Zealand with the right gear packed. You've got to pack correctly. So, in this video today, we are going to go over some travel tips for traveling in New Zealand in September, some of the most common weather patterns, such as the common temperatures, rainfalls, and we're also going to give you the must pack for traveling in New Zealand in September. And if we don't forget, because I just almost forgot, we're also going to tell you the best places to visit in New Zealand in September. So without further ado, let's get started. But before that, Sherry has something to say.
She says, "Good morning, guys. 7 weeks to go." Ooh, that's getting so close.
That is very little. That is the time of like starting to pack, isn't it?
So maybe it's a bit early, but yeah, that's when time starts to fly by so quickly, and you'll be in New Zealand in no time.
Yeah. Have you, like, locked everything in? Is that all kind of ready to go, Sherry, or not just yet?
Or any last minute planning you're planning on doing? Can you plan for planning, or is that too much planning?
She said, "I really want to start packing." Yeah.
Yeah.
During the Patreon show, I may just go over your itinerary. So, as a perk on Patreon, we actually have a shared spreadsheet where we have like the itinerary of everybody, so we can kind of go over things. And we'll look at it together, see if everything's booked or not. That'd be fun.
Sherry says everything is ready to go, so woohoo!
Everything, including Sherry.
Including Sherry, yes.
All right. Okay, so let's begin this video about the weather in September with some tips for visiting New Zealand in September. So if you're planning a trip to New Zealand in September, Laura's got you covered.
Yes, so our first tip is, even though it is the first month of spring in New Zealand, you should still definitely bring some sunscreen with you to New Zealand, and you should apply it when, I was going to say when the sun's out, but even on cloudy days, if you are spending the whole day outside, then don't underestimate how intense the sun can be in New Zealand, even in September. And especially if you're going in spring skiing, if you're going to any of the ski fields during September, that is when you will have the most intense UV rays at those higher altitudes. So make sure you bring sunscreen. Next up, so September is during the shoulder season in New Zealand. So that's kind of when in between, the super low season and the high tourist season. So usually you don't have to plan too many things in advance. If you want to spontaneously book accommodations or tours here and there, that's usually pretty easy to do in September. The only exceptions to that, I would say, would be in those smaller but super touristy hotspots. For instance, if you want to stay in Milford Sound at the Milford Lodge, it's the only accommodation there, so you need to book in advance all year round. Same for Lake Tekapo. It's a very small town with limited accommodation, so in that tourist hotspot, you'll also want to make sure that you book in advance. Next up, be aware that September is the start of the lambing season in New Zealand, and a lot of the hiking trails do cross over farmland, which means that during the lambing season, some of these hiking trails can close. For instance, a popular one is Roy's Peak in Wanaka. So make sure before you're going on any of your hikes, just double check on the Department of Conservation website. They usually have a sort of red alert at the top of the walking trail description saying if it is closed for the lambing season or not. And this continues into October. Speaking of lambing season, if you're on a working holiday visa during September when you're in New Zealand, then this is a good time to find woofing opportunities where you can find accommodation and food in exchange for helping out with the lambing season. So yeah, look up for those opportunities, even with with Woof, but also we do have job listings on our website at NZPocketGuidecom, so make sure to check that out. And then finally, as you're hiking through the amazing trails of New Zealand, keep a lookout for the bird life. It's very alive, and there's a lot of bird activity during this time in spring. So take the walking trails slowly. Make sure that you're always looking behind you as well, just to see if there's any awesome wildlife encounters that you don't want to miss.
All right, next up, we'll talk about the average temperatures in New Zealand. But before that, let's go back to the live chat. All right, so Sherry is not popping into the Patreon show because she hates me, and it's fine.
That's definitely what she says.
Yeah. Also, she says, I really need to see some lambs. Yeah, they're very cute. They're very, very cute. And Rick is here, one of our other Patreons, saying Guten Morgen.
Guten
Laura,
Morgen.
what does Guten Morgen mean?
It means good morning in the indigenous language of Germany.
Did you like the yellow car fine for you, Rick, last week? That's the person we took that silly photo for.
Yes, I do remember well.
He said,
Rick says he'd rather eat the lambs. Oh,
lamb lollipop is very good. It tastes very good.
Yes.
Okay, and Sherry is going to be going to the city.
Sherry's going to the big city today. Woo.
Big city.
The
Whoop,
big
whoop.
city.
All right, so while you guys prep all your questions about traveling in New Zealand, we will continue with our theme of the week. So pop your questions in the live chat. In the meantime, we'll talk about the temperatures. Okay, so let's begin with the temperature in September. Let's send Laura to the map. So, because New Zealand experienced slightly different climate across the whole country, you really feel the difference between the North and the South Island when traveling in New Zealand in September. But to give you a bit of an idea of what you can expect, here are the average temperature during the day that you can experience in some of the regions in New Zealand. And we're going to begin with northern New Zealand, with beautiful Northland, Auckland and Tauranga. And the average temperature you can experience there is going to be 13 degrees Celsius, which is 56 degrees Fahrenheit in Freedom Unit. That's what the F stands for. In the central North Island, Hamilton, Taupo and Rotorua, you can expect about 10 degrees Celsius, which is about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to be a little warmer when you visit the geothermal park, and put your hands closer to those vents. Don't do it, it's crazy. It can scald you. Don't do that. It was a joke. You always need those qualifiers, don't you? All right, in the southwest North Island, we have New Plymouth, Palmerston North and Wellington, where you can expect an average of 11 degrees Celsius, which is 52 degrees Fahrenheit. And finally, for the North Island, we have the Eastern North Island with Gisborne, Napier and Wairarapa, and you can experience 12 degrees Celsius, which is 54 degrees Fahrenheit. Alright, let's hop on the ferry and head to the South Island of New Zealand, and we're going to arrive in the beautiful town of Picton, in northern South Island. Don't pick on that town. Okay, so we have northern South Island with Picton, Blenheim and Nelson. The average will be 11 degrees Celsius, which is 52 degrees Fahrenheit. On the western South Island, the beautiful west coast, we have Westport, Hokitika and Milford Sound. It's the wild west coast with 10 degrees Celsius on average, which is 50 degrees Fahrenheit. In the eastern South Island, we have Kaikoura, Christchurch and Timaru. You can expect an average of 10 degrees Celsius, which is 50 degrees Fahrenheit, although this area tends to be really windy, so you may actually feel that it is colder than 10 degrees Celsius. In inland South Island, we have Lake Tekapo, Queenstown and Alexandra, with our coldest temperatures in September at 8 degrees Celsius, which is 46 degrees Fahrenheit. And finally, we're going to wrap up the temperatures in New Zealand for the month of September with the southern New Zealand. We have Dunedin and Invercargill with an average of 9 degrees Celsius, which is 48 degrees Fahrenheit. Next up, we'll talk about rainfalls.
Without the S.
Rainfall. Yeah, without the S. Enough sass, young lady. Robert Coton says, my son is going... Sorry for butchering your name, Robert, by the way. I apologize for that. My son is going to New Zealand from Canada in November 2023 with 3 friends to do woofing. Oh, that's awesome. Any experience and tips for 4 18-year-old guys doing a first big travel experience? Yes, heaps, plenty. So we have a website called NZ Pocket Guide. So I'm just going to give you the resource first because we do have a lot of information for you there. So on the website called NZ Pocket Guide right here, that you can see below me, it's all 100% free. And on there we have thousands and thousands of tips, right? If you were to head to Work in New Zealand right here, we have a whole section right there called Work for Accommodation. And on there, you have dozens of articles covering what you can expect when you do this kind of experience, this kind of work, how to land those jobs easily, and how to prepare for them. So we have plenty of information for you right here. When it comes down to actually traveling to New Zealand, for 18 years old guys that's going to come and have their first big travel experience, we also have plenty of tips on the website. And if you have more specific questions, I'm happy to answer them. But the main tip that I will give you is to really remind them that they are here for a life experience, much more than just work. We see ton of working holiday makers which are coming to New Zealand to do exactly that, and they just focus on working and grind and try to save a little bit of money. But by working overseas, this is really not how you save money, right? You usually save money by working at home, especially if you live with your parents you have more chances to save money. So do remember that they're there for the life experience. They need to travel. They need to, make those silly mistakes. Buy a $2,000 car and see it break after 3 months and be grumpy about it, and just all those kind of things. You need to gather those life experience. That's what makes you the person you'll be later on, right? So encourage them to have life experience, to not just focus on working, even if it's to enable them and give them a little bit extra cash or this and that. This will be worth 10 years worth of college, I can tell you that. Life experience is worth so much. Anyway, it's just kind of like, that would be my one tip, right? You ask a very genuine question, so I can come up with like 30. Actually, yeah. I could, but that would be a bit rambly. But that would be my one tip. Laura, would you have one tip to give those 18 years old boys?
I completely agree with what Robin was saying about making sure that it's not just all about just doing, say, the woofing aspect. There's obviously a lot more to experience in New Zealand, and I think obviously 18-year-old guys are not going to have a lot of money to spend, so I definitely guide you guys to look at some of our budget articles for New Zealand. We have lots of tips on how to save money, even like recipes for like cooking your own meals, that sort of things, like just really easy, cheap meals to make if this is the first time that maybe they're making meals away from home, that sort of thing.
I have spent multiple of my years teaching young German dudes to cook in kitchen hostels. As part of, I used to have a support agency to kind of help people, do this kind of job. This kind of experience, right? And to kind of set them up. Yeah. And quite often I literally had to teach them that in the kitchen, like literally a few recipes to cook. So it is definitely you learn a lot.
Yeah, so obviously with a lot of woofing, there's often food provided and cooked for you. So that's like often obviously a highlight of woofing, but you might have some things in between. So yeah, just take a look at our budgeting. We also have backpacking articles on NZPocketGuidecom. There'll be loads of tips to help just that group, I think.
Yeah. And if you feel like they want a little bit of extra support, you can sub them to our Patreon group, right? They don't need to all 4 of them join on our Patreon group. It's absolutely fine. You can just have one of them there. And so with our Patreon group, so we do those kind of sessions more fun. We actually, every week we do a call, right? Where we can call for we call for an hour and we chat. But also, we actually have a Facebook group where there is just our Patreon there, and you can ask any of your questions and everything, and you get answer from us directly, like all week long, right? So it's a great support system. Armand's, I don't know if you've seen some of his episodes of Armand's gap year in New Zealand, but Armand was one of our Patreon, for example, and kind of made use of the group quite a lot. And here in the live chat right now, we have Rick, Sherry, they're all, and Anthony, they're all, and Kiwi Lauren as well. They're all on the Patreon group. So it's kind of fun. Anyway, if you have any more specific questions, Robert, we are here to help. Oh yeah, if you want to find the Patreon stuff, call to action. You always have to. That's what YouTube tells me to do. There is a link in the description of this video for you to click on. Oh, I hate selling stuff, my friend. Okay, what is Kiwi Lauren saying?
Kiwi Lauren says, "Hi, happy Saturday afternoon from Canada. Lovely to see your shining faces today."
Ooh, shining? Oh no, makeup,
I've got oily skin again.
How are you doing, Kiwi Lauren? So how is the Rocky Horror show going for you? Are you still prepping it, or is it happening? So Kiwi Lauren's from Canada as well, Robert, just so you know. And she is a music teacher. So fun times. Just came back from a trip to New Zealand. So happy days. All right, I'm going to drink some water and then we'll move on to our next section.
Yeah, we'll talk about some rainfall, I guess. Some rainfall in various different areas of New Zealand, because that also is different between the different regions.
Yes, that is going to be quite different. All right, so I get it. It's here. It's here. I knew what I was talking about. And also, it says you need to like down the bottom. It's my reminder. YouTube tells me I don't do any of those call to action. That's why we don't make any money, and that's why we have nobody watching us. It keeps on sending me emails saying you need to tell people to do things, and it's kind of like, why? people do things they want to. It's like, it drives me nuts. All right, it's here. Okay, let's send Laura to the map.
I'm going to the map.
Okay, so next up on our list of things you need to know when traveling in New Zealand in September, let's talk a little bit about the other weather pattern that you're going to encounter when traveling in New Zealand. And as hinted in the introduction, you're going to experience a 4 seasons in a day. And genuinely September, as we're switching from winter to spring, is going to be a prime example of that. So expect the sun to get a little stronger, and therefore you need sunscreen, as Laura was hinting, and accept a mixed bag of weather, from like absolutely sunny, beautiful summery days to some very, very, very rainy day. So without further ado, let's talk about rainfall, region by region, what you can expect on average. Okay, so in northern New Zealand, Northland, Auckland and Tauranga, you can expect about 130 millimeters of rain, which is 5 inches. In central Northland, it's a bit drier in Hamilton, Taupo and Rotorua, where you can expect only about 90 millimeters of rain, which is 3.5 inches. In the southwest North Island, in New Plymouth, Palmerston North or Wellington, the capital city, you can expect about 100 millimeters of rain, which is about 4 inches. In eastern Northern, we have Gisborne, Napier and Wairarapa, where you can expect 60 millimeters of rain, which is 2 inches. Alright, we're traveling south and heading to the northern South Island with Blenheim and Nelson, where you can expect 70 millimeters of rain in the Albert Tasman National Park, which is about 3 inches. In the west coast, in western South Island, this is where the rain just, take yeah. What she's doing right here. Add umbrella right here. So we have Westport, Hokitika and Milford Sound. So 250 millimeters to 530 millimeters of rain. So we're talking 10 to 21 inches of rain. This also, by the way, includes Milford Sound. Okay, in eastern South Island, we have Kaikoura, Christchurch and Timaru. You can expect the lowest amount of rain, which is 50 millimeters at 2 inches. Inland South Island, Lake Tekapo, Queenstown, Alexandra, 30 to 50 millimeters of rain, which is 1 to 2 inches. And finally, southern New Zealand, Dunedin and Invercargill, 55 millimeters of rain, which is 2 inches. All right, so that wraps up the weather patterns, especially rainfall. Next up, we will talk about the best place to visit in September. Laura's back! Laura's back here!
Yay!
Okay, the Rocky Horror Show is going so well. We opened 2 nights ago. Okay, so just beginning.
And the crowds have been awesome!
Super responsive and fun, she says. I'm having a blast playing sax in the bands in my fishnet and red sparkly heels. Mental pictures just happened right here. I was like, no, I can definitely picture that. That's definitely.
There's not often times in our lives, at least, where we feel that we have appropriate times to wear fishnets and red sparkly heels. So
you forced me to wear fishnet and red sparkly heels last night. Don't lie to me.
Well, apart from last night.
Okay. Q Lauren says she will post a picture in the Patreon group.
Ooh, please do.
Yeah. Does Mount Cook get a lot of rain usually, Laura?
Not a lot, and definitely not compared to the rest of New Zealand. It's quite sheltered because it's on the eastern... When you go to Mount Cook Village, that's on the sort of eastern side of the mountain range, and that sort of a lot of the time blocks a lot of the bad weather that usually comes from Australia, actually.
Yeah. Keep it, Jerry.
Even though Australia is, I imagine, is probably a lot drier and nicer than New Zealand. So I don't really know how those weather patterns work, but that's where all the bad weather comes from, and it's usually all the west coast that's getting all that bad weather. And Mount Cook tends to be sort of nice, sheltered area with a lot less rain. Not to say that there's no rain. There definitely is rain.
Yeah, in fact, to piggyback on that, really often, right? So the west coast of the South Island of New Zealand, the wide west coast, is well known to be the place where there is the most rain, the wildest weather, all of that, right? And so this is where Franz Josef and Fox glaciers are located, which are two major attractions for New Zealand, right? And so quite often we actually try to encourage people to actually look into the Tasman Glacier, which is literally in Mount Cook, right? The tours leaves for the Tasman Glacier from the Mount Cook village, right? And so, the Tasman Glacier is actually much more sheltered and has much more predictable weather, and therefore you have a much greater chance to actually successfully do your heli hike, as opposed to in Franz Josef and in Fox Glacier, which are cancelled quite regularly. I mean, you've seen that quite a lot, within all the Patreon kind of planning that we do and everything, when we hear from people, I had to wait an extra day and all that to do my heli hike, right? So quite often we are advising people to check out Tasman Glacier instead of the Franz Josef and the Fox Glacier if they didn't get the right weather there. So yeah, it is definitely much more sheltered and the weather is much more predictable around Mount Cook.
And we do have an article on NZPocketGuidecom of things to do in Mount Cook on a rainy day. So if it does rain during the Hooker Valley track, Sherry, then there are some more sheltered hikes that you could be doing, or more like short walks through the forest, which is really beautiful and definitely a good alternative to do if you're not going to get those amazing mountain views because the weather's really crappy. There's also some a really awesome visitor information centre there run by the Department of Conservation, which is more like a museum. So there's stuff to do there. There's also is kind of a museum at the Sir Edmund Hillary Centre, which also has a planetarium. So yeah, there's lots of things to do on a rainy day in Mount Cook as well. So yeah, check out the article on NZ Pocket Guide.
Sherry says, I don't want to do the Hooker Valley track in the rain. Yeah, well, it still says, it's still like you're going to be traveling in November. It's still like New Zealand,
could happen.
It could still happen, but less risk for sure.
Yeah.
Denis et Geraldine in New Zealand says, hi, hello from Belgium, bonjour. What's the name of that really lovely Belgian beer that I used to absolutely love when I was young? Can't remember. Anyway, they had like cherry kind of flavor in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like beer for kids. No, I said that wrong, but what's the name of it? I need to find the name of it. Anyway, she says, or they say, Denis and Geraldine, they say, we listen each week to your good advice. We hope to come to New Zealand in September. Happy that your channel exists. Thank you with a heart.
Cool.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the kind words.
Yeah, feel free to join us on Patreon, even if it's just for 1 month. You'll get a lot of perks out of it, and it's dead cheap. So yeah, there's a link in the description. Feel free to do that. It's like $5 for 1 month, and it's kind of fun. You get access to the group and everything. It's quite cool.
Robert also has some nice words saying, thanks for answering my general question. You have built a great website. Well, thank you for saying that, Robert. And hopefully it provides lots of advice for your son and his friends to have an amazing time in New Zealand.
Creek. So that was the
oh,
beer.
yeah?
Yeah. Yum, yum, yum. Yes, it was right. Hey, you're right. Oh, more subite. Here you go.
Can you order some to be shipped to New Zealand?
Oh, yeah, very, very easy to ship a glass bottle across the world for like 1 sip. That'd be worth it.
Matua X is here saying, Morena.
How are you doing, mate?
Matua X.
Matua, we need to organise a meet-up. We're seeing each other in a couple of weeks, aren't we? That's going to be fun.
We'll be passing through Tokoroa soon.
Yes, we'll have lunch together. Kiwi Lauren says, I would really love to do the Tonga Crossing at some point. Oh, it's awesome. You so should. But I have the tendency to always come during winter due to my summer holiday as a teacher. Someday I'll make it happen. Yeah, I mean, they used to do like guided alpine crossing in winter. They
still do that.
Yeah, that's true. They still do. It's just super expensive. It's just like super expensive right now. But yeah, that's the cool thing to do as well. Chevy says October. Oh, I thought you were coming in November. Oh yeah, 7 weeks, October. Yeah, that's true. And yeah, Lifemans of Creek. Oh, yum yum yum.
Reminds you of your childhood, hey?
Yeah, life as a European child. with my cherry beer, cerise. Okay, Kim Lauren says, do you have to pay to do the crossing in summer if you're using a guide? If you're not using a guide?
Well, that's actually all changing soon, to be fair. But currently,
so right now, no.
Currently, no.
But soon, yes.
But soon, they are introducing a booking system. We don't know when or how much it will be, but it is sort of in the works that they are introducing a booking system for the Tonga Crossing. So whether that comes with a fee or not, we don't know.
But there are some sort of fees to pay anyway. Like you've got to pay for the parking. Often you have to pay for the shuttle because you can't park there, so you do the shuttle one way. So there is a little bit of a fee, but it's not insane. Vela is asking, is Wellington rainy like London? That's a question for Laura, with her 4 days experience in London.
Yeah. So from what I know about London...
Can you speak with a London accent?
No, I'm not going to do that. So from what I know in London, it's sort of like constant rainy drizzle. But in Wellington, the thing with Wellington is that it's super windy. So although it does rain quite often in Wellington, it usually is just like heavy showers that come out of nowhere. They'll be there for maybe about like 20 minutes or something, and then they're gone. So that's more.
And
of the
also,
weather
when it
pattern.
rains in Wellington, it rains horizontal.
Yes.
So your umbrella is like don't think you can pack your English umbrella and actually remain dry, right?
Usually,
in New Zealand, it's all about raincoats.
Yeah, it's usually better to wear a rain jacket compared to using an umbrella. That's for sure.
Daf683 says, does it snow on the North Island during winter?
It does right in the centre of the North Island. So particularly on the mountains, there are some higher mountains in the centre of the North Island. Mount Ruapehu, which is the New Zealand's largest volcano. Also the nearby...
And largest ski field.
And the nearby... Mount Tongariro and Mount Nauhoi, and then over towards Taranaki, you have Mount Taranaki that gets snow towards its peak. So certainly on the mountains, occasionally on State Highway 1, which is the main road that goes right down the North Island and down the South Island, but as it crosses that mountainous area, sometimes it is closed for snow, but that's very occasional. That may happen like 2 or 3 days during winter. So it does snow on the North Island, but mostly on the North Island.
On the one ski field.
Just
on
in
the one ski
mountainous
field that
regions.
is there, and then the rest. New Zealand has a lot of coastline, right? And in general, the sea usually kind of warms up the land, right? So because we have that much coastline, well, it rains a bit less. I mean, the snow stays a little bit less.
Yes.
Luis Correa. Oh, I probably destroyed that name. I'm so sorry, Luis. Saying, hey, I just renewed my French passport. Oh, I could have said that. Louis Correa. There you go. That's better. I say it with a French accent. They say it'll take 4 weeks to get his French passport. Woof! They're taking a while. To be fair, New Zealand is 5, so I think you're doing good. Says, will I have enough time to apply for a working holiday visa and be there in early November? Thanks. Okay, so 4 weeks from now, if you have just renewed your passport, right, you should get it by the 20th of September. Then... you need to apply for the working holiday visa. They say on the Immigration New Zealand website that the maximum length of time it takes to approve it is 2 weeks, right? So that means that you should be able to have it by the 4th of November, I'd say. And so if you are planning on booking your flight literally on the last minute and get there because you love an expensive flight, well, then you could be able to make it. Now, that said, sometimes when the French government tells you it takes 4 weeks to do your passport, it may take shorter. And when the New Zealand government tells you, well, it takes 14 days to get your working holiday visa, it takes 14 minutes. It has, sometimes when you apply for a working holiday visa, you get a visa issued instantly, right?
Yeah.
So it does happen, especially with countries like France, which have bilateral agreements. I mean, I, for one, came to New Zealand on a working holiday visa many moons ago. Don't ask me how long, but that's more than a decade. And it was really, really fast. And the processes are even easier now, right? So, literally, I think it took a day for me to get my visa. So but that said, Immigration New Zealand is under a lot of work pressure, still working on backlogs caused by COVID-19. So there is some delays at time. And so for the exact timing frame of your application, head to immigration.gov.nz. Legally, I have to tell you that. Here you go. That is my answer, Louis. Machua X says, let me know when news coming this way, and the 31st is getting the rest of his forearm tattooed. Yeah, so if you guys don't know, just catching up everybody on that, Machua X is a lovely guy living in Tokoroa in the north end of New Zealand. He's doing his whole arm tattoos, right? And he's posting those photos on our Patreon exclusive group, which is really cool. And so yeah, we're gonna see probably the end of the work soon. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
And I'd like to have like a sort of guided tour of the tattoo as well. So
Guided
you can
tour.
sort of say like, this means this represents this. Like that would be really cool too.
What would be the health and safety instruction before the tour? Be careful, though the exits are.
Can
like,
you
away
sign the
from you, yeah.
waiver agreement before you take the tour?
Louis says, okay, cool, thanks for the response. That give me a bit more confidence. Worst case scenario, I leave a bit later. Yeah, you're more welcome to leave a little bit later. I mean, arriving in November in New Zealand is kind of like it's not ideal. You're arriving in the heat of the big season. We usually say like arrive in September or arrive in March, right?
After the high
Yeah.
season.
So that's usually like the 2 days that we kind of say like, hey, when is the best time to arrive? So yeah, no stress about it. Same thing, feel free to join us on Patreon. There's a link below, and we give a lot of advice all week long. It's a lot of fun, and it's dead cheap. Okay, what is Sherry saying?
Sherry says, I'd love to do the Tonga Crossing, but I struggle with long hikes. It just looks so beautiful. I feel like I'm going to struggle with the Hooker Valley track.
Well, so it doesn't have to be a long hike, right? Some people actually are known every year. There are some people local to nearby the Tonga Crossing, which actually challenge themselves to run the Tonga Crossing and doing between 2 to 3 hours. So it doesn't have to be a long hike. You can do it in only 2 to 3 hours.
You can run it, Sherry.
Exactly. Doesn't have to be a long hike. It can be only 2 to 3 hours
Yeah.
if you run it.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but I think it's not that long, 2 hours for a walk. Is it?
That's for a run, Robin.
Yeah, that's
not
for a run. That's true.
that's
Yeah,
not
I
for a
wouldn't run for
walk.
2 hours. But my point stands.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of people do the Tonga Crossing, even if they haven't ever done a long hike before. It's always sort of described as like, it is obviously a lot of exercise in one day. There's no denying that, but it is manageable. People manage it. It's doable. Like, even if you're not really into hiking and you are a little bit scared of doing it, it's usually like you have enough time in the day to take it easy. You know, there's the shuttle companies are usually really good. They will, they do several times a day where they can come pick you up at the end, and they do the good ones. The ones that we mention on our websites, they tend to, make sure that everybody gets home safely, and, they look after you really well. So
It's all about the beer at the end.
So yeah, as long as you are, well prepared, you've taken enough water, enough snacks, you can take plenty of breaks. Like, there's enough time in the day if you start nice and early. There's enough time in the day to sit back, like, if you after you tackle the devil's staircase with all those steps, get to the top, just find a rock to sit on, get your breath back. There's enough time to do that.
It is definitely not the most challenging hike in the country. Just putting it out there. I know it's branded as, oh my gosh, I did it, I'm epic. It's just because everybody really love to get some views on the internet. Okay. Denis and Geraldine, they say, if we could cross the border and bring you the beer, that would be a pleasure. Don't pack like heavy items just for don't do that. You're traveling, you're gonna need every kg that you're gonna be a load in the plane. Don't bother with that, my friend. I appreciate the sentiment. Fill me with joy, but please don't pack like heavy.
Too heavy. It's just too heavy.
Because those things, they come in like thick beer bottles. Like they're
Are
like
they
so heavy.
Are they soda or is it flat?
It's beer, so there's.
Well, there is flat beer. You can get like flat ale.
Ugh.
That's how we drink beer in the UK.
No! What? Anyway, we're just gonna brush past that.
Yeah, moving on.
Moving on.
Apparently, like, flat beer isn't a thing, but I assure you it is.
Yeah, because your bartender is a jerk. Okay, Christina says, Kia ora all. Good to be back with you all. Oh yeah, that's been a while, Christina. How are you doing? She says, how are you doing, Robin and Laura? We're doing fantastic.
We're doing great.
There's a lot of people today, so we're really enjoying ourselves.
Yeah.
We got 18 views, 11 likes. That's like more likes than usually.
And somebody's sending us some hearts right now,
I know.
which is
Like
always
usually,
fun.
we got like 10 views and like 6 likes. So, we're almost doubling it. That's epic. So yeah, that's kind of cool. We are on a high. And I've got a really fun Patreon shows coming up, like in 27 minutes. We're going to talk about travel plans for next month. It's going to be epic. So yeah, I'm really Really love
Really
it.
happy.
Fabio's here as well, saying hello guys, send you some hearts. There you go.
Thanks, Fabio.
Somebody's sending with some hundreds.
Ooh, what are they? Hundreds.
Hundreds. I don't know what that is.
100%.
I feel so old. You're like, what is this emoji?
What are these hundreds?
16 likes. Look at that. Boom. That's 3 times more than last week. Look at that. Look at that. It's just.
It's good to have people here. You
Yeah.
know, that always makes us happy.
Yeah. And that makes us ramble, and therefore we don't give you enough information. Let's keep going with the questions. Sherry says, I don't run. If I ever did, I'd probably do with someone to keep me company. What, the run? No, you should do it with a bear, so I can tell you you're not stopping.
Don't do that, Sherry, because I've gone for a run with Robin to keep me company, and he takes the mick out of the way that I breathe when I run, and it's, you know, it's not very encouraging, so I'd rather run by myself.
Wow. I've done that once, then I was super supportive. You're horrible. Okay, Louis says, do you buy your travel insurance before you apply for the visa, or would they just check when you arrive? They check when you arrive. So first up, right, there are lots of, and I know that coming from France, there are a lot of very expensive and absolutely useless insurances options in France, right? I strongly advise you to go check on our website on NZPocketGuidecom, and then if you go on, I'll show you where it is, just because it's that. I strongly advise you to go through this process. It's up to you. We're not financial advisors or insurance advisors or anything like that, right? Legal stuff, right? But I strongly advise you to go onto our website.
Travel tips and budget.
Yep, travel tips right here, essentials. Medical and travel insurance right here.
Yeah.
So travel tips, essential and medical and travel insurance. Here we have some articles of things you need to know for your travel insurance in New Zealand, and we also suggest some options which are local to New Zealand, therefore significantly cheaper and with better service, because if you need to call them, well, they are literally nearby.
And in the right time zone.
And in the right time zone. So do not buy it before you get your visa. Once your visa is approved, then you get that insurance, and then you just print your insurance certificate, and then they may or may not ask it to you when you enter New Zealand. They have like a list of like things they need to check when people enter, but they do it sporadically, right? They don't check every tick box for every single person. Like they will pick like out of 10%, they're gonna ask the insurance to this guy, the bank account to this guy, you know, those kind of things, right? But be prepared and have all that ready. So yeah, just putting that out there again, not financial advisor or insurance advisor, blah blah blah. Legal disclaimer. I should have like, this is a legal disclaimer just below at some point. Okay, so Fabio was here. Christina says she's doing well. They have started booking locations for our trip, waiting for the flights to drop in price. With petrol to have crossed the $3 mark a litre here in New Zealand, I feel like the flights are not going to go down anytime soon. That said, flights to the nearby islands in New Zealand have gone on sale multiple times lately, so they're trying to get Kiwis to travel again.
Yeah.
Kimi Lauren says, did you just say somebody needs a running buddy? Hang on, I'll hop on the plane and I'll be there with my running shoes. Don't say the word running shoes near Fabio. It's going to be dangerous.
She also says, you'd hate travelling with me. She's talking to Sherry. I'd try to get you up at 6 a.m. for the morning run every day. Kidding, I let my travel buddy sleep when I run in New Zealand.
Well, we start our days at 5:30 every morning. So actually, we start at 5, so we can start working at 5:30 every morning. So it's kind of our MO right here, Kimi Lauren. But I don't know if it's that many people. We just like to do a lot.
Fabio says, I heard shoes.
And Sherry says she gets up early, but she doesn't exercise.
Yeah,
well, you know,
that's the best way to do it.
Walking shoes. Rick is like tempting Fabio. So Rick, I don't know if you know that, but Fabio is our in-house hiking shoes expert. So yeah, he is. Okay, Louis says, okay, I will do. Planning on taking my expensive new mountain bike
to Queenstown for a mountain bike season. Oh, that would be cool.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, there's a lot of mountain biking track over there. Like even just like some really kind of relatively flat and fun one. So like for example from Arrowtown going like Alexandra, those kind of like places
there's loads
are
of
really
like
cool.
Scenic bike trails. Also, obviously downhill mountain biking trails. Also, a short drive from Queenstown is the Welcome Rock Trails, they're called. Which is, it's a day trip to go over there, but that's definitely really cool to go check out as well. We do have a video of Welcome Rock, it's called, on YouTube.
We're hiking it, but you can mountain bike it.
Yeah, we hike it, but like Robin says, you can mountain bike it.
Louis says, I hope insurance will not be too bad. So, it's a public show. I can't really give you those advice and everything. If you choose to join us on Patreon one day, I'll go over some of the details for you, my friend. But right now I can't. But yes, there are some options that can be relatively cheap and insure your bike as well, just as an add-on rather than being part of the bulk. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, Fabio is. We will do a Fabio special once. Matthew X says, only time I run is when I have to referee league. Yeah, so if you guys don't know, Matthew X is a rugby referee here in New Zealand, which is quite cool because it's really, really Kiwi to play rugby for a living.
Sherry is, doing the morning routine the way it should be, which is I'm sitting here with my first cup of tea for the day. That's a morning routine I can relate to.
Christina is getting started with Fabio, so we have Rick and Christina teasing Fabio. This is gonna get out of hand, and we're gonna end up having to talk about hiking, walking, and running shoes in a minute. So let's just stop that for just 1 minute and let's.
In the meantime, let's talk a little bit more about the weather in September.
Actually, we won't talk about the weather. We'll talk about the best places to visit. All right, so let's just switch on to back to our theme. All right, so back to our theme right now. We are going to be talking about the best places to visit in September. So Laura, what are the best places to visit in September in New Zealand?
Okay, first up on our list is the Tongariro National Park. Now, although the Tongariro Crossing is still closed for sort of independent hikers throughout September, it's actually a really cool time to go there and see the snow on the mountains of Mount Tongariro, Ngauruhoe and Ruapehu, and even do some spring skiing on Mount Ruapehu, which is a really awesome experience. Alternatively, there's lots of short walks that you can do in the area to beautiful waterfalls, to see the views of the mountains and get and experience some of that volcanic landscape. So Tongariro National Park in September is pretty awesome.
How about New Zealand's capital city, Wellington? So Wellington is a fantastic place to visit in New Zealand in September because it is usually when the World of Wearable Art big event is happening, and that's really cool where, well, you get the craziest outfits like ever, yeah, and the whole city is kind of like embracing the whole thing. It's a lot of fun. Plus, New Zealand City always have a lot of awesome things happening there, and because of the weather being so changeable, it is kind of a cool thing to be able to stay indoor and hide in Te Papa Museum, which is New Zealand's best museum, no question. Next up,
we have Hamilton. So the reason to go to Hamilton during September is because when it's spring, that is the best time to go to the Hamilton Gardens to see the beautiful flowers in bloom. The Hamilton Gardens is a free attraction you can go to. It is absolutely huge. They have various different themed gardens. It is definitely a highlight and something that people should do when they are traveling, say between Auckland and Taupo, and they want to do a bit of a rest stop in Hamilton. It's a really awesome attraction to check out, and often they have the Tulip Festival there, so maybe your trip will coincide with that.
Although I'm not a big fan of Queenstown, you guys know it, I'm usually one of the detractors. I think Queenstown is fantastic to visit in September for the only reason that white water rafting is epic there in September, because it is the beginning of spring. The snow melts, the rapids are more raging, the white waters over there are absolutely fantastic. So September, if you're into whitewater rafting, head to Queenstown and do every tour available. That's awesome. Laura.
Finally on our list we have Kaikoura, which, to be fair, there's never a bad time to visit Kaikoura. So whether it's September, whether it is a different month, Kaikoura is just fun to go visit because you can actually do whale watching there all year round. There's also dolphin swimming that you can do. Yes, even in the cold waters of September, you can go dolphin swimming, but they do suit you up with some nice thick wetsuits, so it's completely fine. And the adrenaline of going in the water with dolphins is usually...
It's not that cold.
It usually warms you up. So, yeah, and also there's lots of seal colonies that you can see from land. You don't necessarily have to get in the water. So, yeah, lots of amazing wildlife viewings to be had in Kaikoura in September and the rest of the year.
Boom! That's our favorite places to visit in New Zealand in September. Next up, we'll talk about packing. Okay, what have we missed? Barry says Jendals, says Christina. Of course, he's going to tease Fabio. Mitch is having his first beer of the night. Hi, everybody. Nice.
Hi,
Enjoy.
Mitch.
I'd love to cheers with you. I'll cheers with my bottle of water as it is 8:43 in New Zealand for us, my friend. So it's a little early for beer. Although I was talking about beer, probably 8 or 7 with Denise and Geraldine. Denis and Geraldine, if I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we have as well? We have Louis that says he'll contact us on Patreon when he gets his passport. Well, it's all up to the French government now.
Yep, fingers crossed.
What do we have?
Sherry says, I think it's my British genes from way back, Laura. Yes, it runs deep. The tea obsession runs deep.
Okay, we have Fabio says a lot of people don't consider enough the composition of the soil. There are a lot of different mixtures that are better for rain, underground support.
If only people knew.
I don't like the people doing the Tonga Crossing in Gendals. Yeah, no, neither do the rescuers and all that. So yeah,
the helicopter service does not.
Yep. Anthony says stay safe, but I'm here until the end. We have 16 minutes left, and we've got to do the September packing list and answer all your questions. Chip, chop, chop, chop.
Yes.
Okay, Sherry says I can't wait to see the Hamilton Gardens, and I'm going to try to do some berry picking nearby too. Oh, that's fun.
There is a lot of like berry picking
Yeah.
places. Make sure that you try some
Yeah.
real fruit ice cream.
Pro tip, wear white top. Definitely talking from experience right here when you go berry picking. So, if you guys don't know, by the way, in New Zealand, quite often you will have signs on the side of the road when you drive that says like strawberry or berry picking, blueberry, those kind of things. And so I usually stop there for real fruit ice cream, because usually what they do is that they take some of the berries that they have, they mix it with the local ice cream, they make you those kind of like soft serve ice cream. Oh, it's absolutely amazing. But sometimes, you can stop there and you can actually pick your own berries. So you pick your own berries and then you'll pay by weight, and it's significantly cheaper than in a lot of other places. And wearing a white top is stupid when doing that. I'll let you picture why and how. Okay.
We have AR Mysterious Scent
Mysterious Scent. Sorry, Laura, I apologize for this one.
saying, what about Christchurch?
Can you tell us about Christchurch, if it's a good place to visit and live? Christchurch is a fantastic place to visit and live. Christchurch is the largest city on the south island of New Zealand. It has the largest amount of population in the south island of New Zealand. It is, in fact, the second largest city in the country, if I'm correct. Christchurch is a fantastic hub to explore the Canterbury Plains. It's also a great place, only about 2.5 to 3 hours drive away from the Southern Alps, where you can experience skiing in some small local ski fields, and you can also do some epic alpine hiking. So there's really a lot to do around Christchurch, but it also has all the amenities of a big city, which is really good. Christchurch is also one of the best job markets in the country. So if you are looking for a job because you're in New Zealand and working holiday visa, it's a fantastic place to do so. There is also the Banks Peninsula with the town of Akaroa, which has amazing wildlife, but even a longer drive away, but not that long. You can head to Kaikoura with all its amazing wildlife as well. So Christchurch is a fantastic hub if you want to base yourself on the South Island to do some epic exploring. So yes, I love Christchurch.
I'm sold.
Yeah. Adil asks, are the Hamilton Garden wheelchair accessible? Yes, they are, Adil and Fabio are behind the scene hiking shoe producers.
He says, if you use oversized gumboots filled with water, you might be able to sneak a beer in them too.
Wow.
Some top tips coming through.
Yeah, from Barry, wow, that is just, wow. Okay. I do think that there is, I've seen some photo, I can't remember in which instant, but I think somebody one time showed me photos of them drinking out of a gumboot. Can't remember what it was, a festival or something like that? Can't remember what it is, but it's not something
I forgot. I read Fabio's thing, but yeah, Christina says, Barry is crazy. He just said that if you wear your gumboots filled with water, you are taking your water with you on the Tonga Crossing. And you're adding water as well if you get sweaty feet.
Great, gives it a good nice taste.
Yeah.
Mr. You San says, thank you, love your channel. You're very welcome, my friends.
You're welcome.
We got more likes than viewers. That is epic.
How
That
is
means
that possible?
everybody liked or more. What? That is amazing. You guys are awesome. Okay, Lawrence is here.
Lawrence.
Well, kia ora, Laura and Robin and everyone here. How are you doing, Lawrence? Right in time for the Patreon show. That's awesome. Fabio, no, Christina says, I'm with you, Sherry. Sometimes I wonder about him. Yeah, you know, sometimes you should just sit a little further away from him. You know, it's kind of like, why are you sitting
Leave
side
him
by
alone
side?
with his gumboot.
Okay, so while you guys continue with all the comments and craziness and everything, it's awesome. I love it. What about Laura guides you through the packing list in September? All right, let me just get that set up. Okay, it's time for the packing list for September, and Laura is got you covered.
Yes, speaking of got you covered, you need to make sure you're got covered with thermal layers. How about that as a segue?
Smooth.
Yeah, so in September, very changeable weather. You can have some really cold days if the sun's not out, but when the sun gets out, you will probably be happy to take off some layers. So yeah, we definitely advise that you pack some thermal layers, similar to what I have on right here actually. So like, a nice thin underlayer that you can, have underneath just for some extra warmth. But yeah, like I say, the weather is changeable, so you'll also want to pack some high factor sunscreen because yes, in September you can still get sunburn. It is the beginning of spring when even on full days, if you are out all day, then the sun can still burn you through the clouds. So just make sure that you have some available. Waterproof hiking shoes is definitely a must, especially because it can rain at any time and having wet feet for the whole trip is not fun, so having some waterproof hiking shoes is definitely a must, and because obviously there's a lot of amazing sights to be seen along the walking trails of New Zealand. And when we say hiking boots, that can be walking shoes as well. You don't necessarily have to go on multi-day epic hiking trips in order to experience New Zealand. You can definitely just do short walks that are manageable for most people, and that's a really good way to see the amazing scenery. You'll also want to bring some swimwear with you to New Zealand. Now, although it is too chilly to go swimming in the lakes or at any of the beaches, I mean, maybe not for some people, but for most, there's still hot pools that you can have a nice soak in, so you'll want to have swimwear for that. There's also lots of water activities like, say, blackwater rafting, underground caving in Waitomo. There'll be whitewater rafting as well, so if you're doing any of those water activities, you'll need swimwear to wear underneath the wetsuits that they'll provide for you. Finally, actually this is not finally, but sunglasses, because when the sun comes out, it is pretty bright during September. And now finally, a rain jacket, because yes, it does rain quite often, quite sporadically in September. So to cover up with a rain jacket is always a good idea.
It will rain in September. All right, so that wraps up our coverage of New Zealand in September. Everything you need to know about the weather, what you need to pack. There is much more information on NZPocketGuidecom, and there is a link in the description of this video with the correct article, so you can go check even more information and everything in written form, so you don't have to try to remember all of the stuff we said. You can just print the checklist. And yeah, like and subscribe, and let's go back to the live chat. Okay, Lawrence is doing great. She said thank you. She's enjoying a little bit of a cooler weather this weekend, as the rest of the world is burning, so can't complain. Yeah, it's definitely cool in New Zealand here. Fabio says in Austria it's 34 degrees tomorrow. That's way too hot. Isn't it the temperature of the inside of your body?
Yeah, I think it's like 32 or something.
Yeah, if it passes what's inside your body, it's just not okay. That's my kind of rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Sherry says the joy of living where we do, getting sunburned so easily. I also recommend aloe vera gel just in case you get sunburned. Oh, that's a very good call. I do like that. Laura, if you are from Scandinavia like Joey, you laugh at the warm water temperature in September. Yeah, okay, laugh at that. This is very cold, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Raffacat is here saying, good morning, guys. Good morning, Raffacat.
Yeah, how are you? Leeds.
From Leeds.
And Lauren says, sorry to hear that, Fabio. Okay. So, yeah, we still have a few more minutes with you guys for sure. So, let's talk about the poll of the week. Because, yes,
there is a poll of the week.
There was a poll. So, actually, it's today's poll, not polls of the week.
Look at that dashing couple
I
hiking
know.
up that hill.
So a few weeks back, we asked you a question on YouTube, and I keep on asking you questions on the community tab of our YouTube stuff, and ask what is the easiest thing to forget when packing for a holiday. At number 1, most picked answer was Kevin McAllister at 37% of answeries.
Entries.
Yeah, 37% of entries say that Kevin McAllister was the easiest thing to forget to pack when
it's
going
true.
on a holiday.
They did make several movies about
Yeah,
that.
I know. Money. Then 36% answered toothbrush, 17% answered phone chargers, and 10% answered snacks.
No, not my snacks.
I forgot my snacks!
I guess they're not really essentials to take.
Exactly. All right, so I usually let the polls run for a couple of weeks and then I give you the answer. That is what we got this week. What would you have said is the easiest thing to forget? Toothbrush, Kevin McAllister, phone chargers, or snacks? I'd love to know. Also, Laura leaves me in charge of choosing the options. She is not pleased. Absolutely unpleased with my jokes, by the way. She shook her head and was like, "You on top of it, you made a mistake on spelling it." All right, Adil said, "Thank you, Robin, Laura, and Fabio for your response to my question about accessibility." You're very welcome, Adil. You get a team of 3 right here answering questions. I love it. Our producer behind the scene is typing faster than we speak, which is quite a feat.
Kiwi Lauren says that she missed the poll, and Cherie says that she didn't see it either. But Rick is chiming in with his one saying toothpaste.
Sherry says undies, and Kiwi Lauren says Kevin. I like it. So there is a community tab on our YouTube page, and there is another poll running. There is a quiz and a poll right now, which are currently running. So I leave them run. Let them run a little bit. So yeah, the current one is. I'm not going to tell you guys. It's from 5 days ago, so you need to go check it out. Can't tell you because otherwise I'm spoiling it for next time I'm doing the poll. It's just crazy. Sherry says, "Random thoughts. I can bring you guys some Aussie snacks. Any requests?" Okay, what can we get her to be caught by biosecurity?
I want the freshest apple.
Yes, I want pieces of mud from a nearby farm. As they always say, have you been to a farm? And make sure you stick them at the bottom of your shoes.
Make sure that you wrap a endangered piece of coral, or maybe wrap a turtle in some
don't touch the
mud.
coral. I don't even want to joke about that. I love the coral.
Okay, I was clearly joking. Anyway, Aussie snacks. I actually have never been to Australia. I actually don't know what is famous in terms of Aussie snacks.
I have been to Australia, and I have to say, no food was that memorable.
We have Bundaberg in New Zealand, so we're good there. I mean, if there is something that's like everybody needs to try this Australian snack, then by all means, we're in.
Yeah, I do not know. Surprise us, Sherry. Surprise us. Don't they do like kangaroo beef jerky or something? What is that? Why do I say beef? Like
Kangaroo
jerky, those kind of things, don't they?
Or crocodile tears.
Delicious. I'd take the cherry beer from Denise and
over the crocodile tears.
Yes, Denise and
Geraldine.
Geraldine. Yes. I need to remember that.
Dav says, which place to spot penguins in New Zealand? Stewart Island?
We actually have a full video on the channel where we actually talk about our favorite places to spot penguins in New Zealand. So you may want to search on YouTube penguins NZ Pocket Guide, and you'll find that, and we'll literally go over all of them and we show you the locations and everything. So you may want to check out this video. Stewart Island is not necessarily like the best place to see penguins. Some of the easiest places to see penguins in New Zealand would be more around the Otago Peninsula near Dunedin and around the town of Oamaru and Timaru on the south island of New Zealand. So that'd be like kind of the easiest place to see penguins in the country.
Yes.
Mitch actually said we spotted some silver-crested penguins in Milford Sound in 2019. That's awesome. So yeah, there's obviously many other places to see that. And so yeah, check the video that we have about the best place to see penguins. So yeah.
Fabio says, please search for penguins Cumberbatch. Yeah, because there's a thing like Benedict Cumberbatch does a documentary which is about New Zealand, talking about the penguins in Milford Sound, but he doesn't know how to pronounce penguins.
So how does he say penguins?
Penguins. Like, you know how you spell it with a U, an I, and N? He is like pronouncing each letter like penguins.
Interesting. I may watch that just with the maybe with the Patreon show or something. When it's not on YouTube no more, guys, we'll do those kind of things.
Penguins. Okay,
Tim Tams are the best, say Rick. They're fun to do the Tim Tam dances, isn't it? But we do have Tim Tams in New Zealand. We do have Tim Tams.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think there's too much There's a lot of Australian stuff, I guess, in New Zealand and vice versa, so it's a hard one.
Duff683 says, how does the national dish pavlova taste like? Is it a dessert? It's a dessert. It's a big meringue, so it tastes like meringue, topped with a couple of fresh fruit and some cream. So it tastes like meringue.
If it's a good one, hopefully more than a couple of fresh
more fruit. But yeah, it tastes like meringue, cream, and fruit. It's literally 3 ingredients kind of like put together, so it tastes like meringue, cream, and fruit. That's what it tastes like. Okay. Oh my God, we lost Laura.
Anyway.
Composure, lady, composure. Okay. Kiri Loren says the best thing is that he says it incorrectly in several different ways. Keep getting it wrong regardless. I know how he tried to say it. Okay, cool. Fabio says, and then he lose it completely and say the Okay.
Oh, sorry. I just saw the word koalas and I thought he pronounces it completely wrong and says caramel koalas. But no, that's Sherry saying, can you get caramel koalas? No, we can't. I haven't seen caramel koalas anywhere.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
They sound cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Caramel koalas it is. All right. There you go. The music tells us to stop the show. Okay, we've been live for an hour answering all your questions to Travel New Zealand, and we'll be live for another hour next week at the same time. So join us then. But we. Well, Laura is just
I'm reading Kiwi Lauren's response saying penguin equals caramel koala. Oh my God, Benedict, you've lost the plot. Anyway, sorry guys.
That's fine. It's good to be happy, isn't it? Okay, and so we'll do it again next week. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And right now we are hosting another hour of this show for Patreon exclusively. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. We are gonna be talking travel plans and caramel koalas and pangolins. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, here you go. Okay, everybody, bye-bye. Have a lovely week. See you next week.
See ya. Bye.
Thanks, everybody, by the way. That was awesome. We had a lot of fun today. That was good.